Hey everyone, Brian Skeel here, composer and sound designer, and I wanted to do a quick video demonstrating how I approach distorting drums. This is great if you like the really industrial, gritty kind of sound like Nine Inch Nails or anything like that where you have like a really mechanical drum kind of sound, but also like the really heavily edited and tight distorted sound. And I'm going to walk you through how to do that. And you can do that by using a drum kit, by setting up mics in front of a kit. You can do this with a loop. You can do it with a sampled drum library. You can do it by making your own loop, and that's what I decided to do. I decided to use Battery 4, and this is just one of the presets that it comes with. Great sounding samples in here. And so what I did was I made a very basic pattern. And so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to distort it using some kind of distortion plugin. I'm going to render it, and then I'm going to do some pretty precise editing and get rid of any kind of weird sustain that might happen as a result of the distortion compressing the signal. So we are going to go to our audio inserts, and we're going to use the Decapitator. This is my go-to distortion unit. This is by Soundtoys, and I love this thing. It's got 5 different modes or styles, and they're all based on different hardware units. The A stands for Ampex, that's a tube preamp. The E stands for EMI Chandler, one of their preamps. The N is an older Neve preamp, and then these two guys, the T and the P, are different modes on the Culture Vulture. I found that the T works really, really well on drums. We can go ahead and cycle through all of these and make sure that we really enjoy the T, but what we're going to do is we're going to just mangle the crap out of this sound. Just send it to hell and back. We'll see what going all the way sounds like on this kit. So, by using this punish knob, what we're doing is we are basically increasing the gain by 20 decibels. So we are going to introduce just an insane amount of signal into this plugin. So we're going to go ahead and hit punish, and then let's go ahead and pull the drive all the way up. Now this is going to get pretty loud, so I'm going to turn off the auto makeup gain and crank this way back until I can safely say that I'm comfortable with the level. So before we have the distortion, we have this. Now with distortion, here's what we have. Pretty gross, pretty gnarly, really digging that sound. Now, if this is your first time using the Decapitator or any other kind of distortion unit, I highly recommend going through and getting to know each of the modes. I'll do this as well if I have a little bit more time on my hands and want to use different distortion units, if I have Saturn or Trash, or if I have a plugin that's emulating some kind of old tube device like the 610 from UA. I'll A/B each of those until I figure out exactly what I want for the sound that I'm working with. But let's go ahead and go through all the modes in the Decapitator and figure out which mode works best for us. Let's start with the Ampex. Cool characteristic. It's kind of messy. Might be really cool. Check out the EMI. Sounds cool, but I don't think it's right for the sound we're going for in this video. Let's check out the Neve. I love how that is creating kind of an unpredictable kind of sound for this loop, but I still think that the T is winning. Let's go ahead and play both of these and make sure. Let's check out the P. And the T. Yeah, I think that sounds great. So we're going to use that. We're going to keep it here on the audio inserts. But what we're going to do is we're going to render this region down to audio so that we can see the actual waveform. So we're going to right click on this, go to render in place, and we're going to render with current settings. And hopefully the settings that I have are what we need. Yeah, so this looks pretty great. And we have the waveform. Since we rendered it into place, we're going to go ahead and mute this and only work with the waveform now. Okay, great. So now we can zoom in and really check out what's going on here. So now, if we look at this waveform, we're going to see some weird things happen every now and then. And maybe by tightening them up and cleaning them up a little, we'll get a little bit of a cooler sound. So we're going to go to our grid. I'm going to move this to 16th notes, and we're just going to start chopping. And eventually what we're going to do is we're going to peel a couple of these layers back and make some very precise sounding edits. And hopefully this will get us some really cool kind of sounds. So let's start with this one. Start to move this back, and I'm going to go off of grid mode because I want these to be a little bit more catered to what I see in the waveform. So what we're doing is we're getting rid of some of the sustain that happens when you distort a signal. It's kind of like playing your electric guitar and then suddenly you stop playing, but there's still kind of that weird resonance that happens, right? Okay, cool. So now we've got some edits, and let's listen to the original just for reference. I'm going to unmute this, and let's see what it sounds like again. Now let's listen to the edited version. Yeah, so there you go. That is how I like to do distorted drum loops. You take your original drum loop, you run it through some kind of distortion unit, and then you start to edit some of those messier, sustained sounds out of the rendered audio to make sure that you have a sound that you really, really enjoy. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. If you have any thoughts or recommendations of things that you'd like me to cover in another video, please comment. I'd love to do something that's a little bit more crowdsourced, so let me know what kind of interests you have, and I'd love to do that in the next several videos. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.